about patent strategy, second, portfolio management, and what the concept of a patent catalog, which is one of my pet issues, how it deals with patent licensing, litigation, acquisition, disposable, the necessity for feedback to invention programs, and what invention programs and patent prosecution programs look like, and then finally, how that contributes to maximizing patent value and quality. So, patent strategies. Patent strategies are all over the map. You can use your IP to support your business in a whole number of different ways, not just monetization. And this is just kind of a laundry list that talks about that. These are just some headlines really from the last couple of months of different companies that are using their IP and using their patents. I'm going to talk, when I say IP and patents, I mean the same thing. Sorry if you're copyright and trademark. I don't mean to be insulting, but I think patents. But these are some companies that are using their IP to do things other than just collecting money. Hoverboards with one of the big toys this year. There's a big shakeout going in there, in that industry, and there's a couple of very strong IP owners that are using their IP to help maximize their market position. Qualcomm has been doing it in CDMA for years and years and years, and is still attempting to do that. Ericsson and Apple just settled a big patent dispute, and it's more than just about the money Ericsson's getting. Nobody knows how much money Ericsson's getting, but there's also talk of collaboration between Apple, a big end user, and Ericsson, a big backplane supplier. So this is what my theoretical outline of what an ideal IP department should look like. Everything is founded on patent strategy, and patent strategy supports your business strategy. That's why you have a patent strategy in the first place. You have, of course, invention programs. Invention programs are creating your next products for your business, but also feeding into your patent prosecution department to create a patent portfolio. That patent portfolio needs to be understood and cataloged, I call it, so that you understand what are the patents you've got that are valuable, what are the patents that have got issues, where's the white spaces that you need to be filling in, where you have surpluses or orphan patents that you can dispose of, where you have, again, those white spaces, those holes that you can go back, feed back to the invention program, get us some more inventions, feed back to an acquisition program, go out and buy and in-source patents. And then you also, that your licensing and litigation people will know whenever a new issue comes up, you can very quickly interrogate the catalog and pull out a short list of patents that are going to be valuable in your licensing, in your litigation, in whatever it is you're using to assert your patents, and you'll know what ammunition you've got right away. So this is a little more about what I mean about it. This is one of the tools that we use for getting a quick, high-level view of what a patent portfolio looks like. It's called a patent landscape. It looks like a topographic map. It's covered with pretty dots. It's really a nice visual. But it's when you dive into it that it gets interesting. Each one of the dots on these patent landscapes are a patent. The software clusters these patents together based on a semantic algorithm that links them all together based on them having similar keywords, which means that they're addressing similar topics. You can also go in and look at where the white spaces are. So not only is it the positive spaces that you look at, but also where the white spaces are. This might tell you have a gap in the patent, in your patent coverage. It might tell you it's just an area that you don't care about. But you can go in and you can drill in and see that. You can also classify your patents. As I said, each one of those patents represents, or each one of those dots represents a patent. The colors can be adjusted so that you can go in and very quickly look and say, what types of patents do I have in an area? So I can see that over on the left-hand side here, I've got a lot of what I call process patents, which are patents about how you build semiconductors, because this is a semiconductor portfolio. We don't have a lot of green in there. The red ones are system patents, and there's not a lot of blue circuit patents in there either. So that gives me a very quick, very top-level view of what I've got in my patent portfolio. It gives me an idea, if I match this with a competitor's product line, it gives me an idea of what sort of ammunition I have that I might use in a discussion with that particular competitor. So here's another example of how you can use a patent catalog. A company called PMC Sierra, a semiconductor company, was recently acquired. And it was a big proxy fight between two companies, Skyworks and Microsemi. So why do these companies, how do these companies mesh up? This is looking at the two portfolios, Microsemi and PMC Sierra. PMC is the red dots on here. The blue dots are Microsemi. And you can see when you plot these two companies together that there's a pretty good overlap across both of them. So these are two competitors. They're competing in similar areas. They're producing similar technologies. And this is a play where you may be building market share and strengthening your market or your coverage of the market. This is what happens when you plot the same PMC Sierra patents against Skyworks, which was the other suitor. And you can see there that PMC is very strong on the what here is the right-hand side of the plot. There's a little island there, and then there's a bunch of other islands over on the left-hand side of the plot where all the green is concentrated. So these guys have hopefully complementary product lines, but not an awful lot of overlap. So they're quite different plays that are going on here. These two companies have different motivations for trying to acquire PMC Sierra. If you were looking at a licensing campaign, it would also tell you quite different things. So once again, I'm from Chipworks. What we do for people is we help people match patents to products. This is one of the essential things, that top-level view, and there's a bunch of top-level tools, give you a broad idea of what you've got in your portfolio. But when it comes down to finding valuable patents, you have to be able to match them to products and see if you have patents that are actually being used and that actually have monetary value. There's a bunch of different ways that you can do that. And I use this as sort of a continuum, starting from very simple literature reviews, where you may have a strong indication that a patent is being used, all the way up to, at the most expensive end, detailed reverse engineering, where you can find component by component, even down to the atomic level, how a product matches to the claims of your patent. And the impact of this, this line at the bottom, patents with evidence of use sell for about 30% more and about 40% more likely to sell in the brokerage market. And that's a paraphrase from Kent Richardson's article in the current issue of IAM magazine. My experience is that when we go in and provide comprehensive evidence of use, we about double the value of a patent on the open market, on the brokerage market. So having good, solid evidence of use makes a real difference in brokering. That's a public view of it. It also has a very, very strong influence when you're licensing or when you're having discussions and leveraging your patents for business purposes, whatever business purposes you might be using. This is the way we categorize sources of evidence. We use what we call process, circuit, and system patents. Systems include software. And this is I think this is our 2014 statistics. This is how they settle down. We did about 46% of our business in process, only about 35% in systems. When you're looking at evidence of use, there's a huge difference in cost from the top to the bottom of this bar. So you do as little as you need to, right? The less everyone's on a budget, you do as much as you can with literature and standards. Standards, of course, have FRAND limitations these days. So it's a good indication, but maybe you need to go up the line a little bit. When you're going into litigation, when you're going into serious negotiations, you're probably going to be down there towards that packet sniffing, software, electrical probing end of things, where you're doing a lot more hands-on work, you're doing a lot more teardown, and you're getting really drilling into the details of a product. That's going to allow you to use this patent catalog to do things like looking at new markets. If your business strategy says we want to move into a new market, you can go off, do some research, see who else is in the market, look at their portfolios, match them up to your products, and do first what I call a PMM, which is that patent matrix, patent market matrix that looks at who are the potential competitors in there, who is doing the research work, who do you need to be concerned about, and then with a PPM, a patent product matrix, matching their patents to your products so you understand who are going to be your licensing partners if you move into that market. And that allows you to then prepare for and optimize that licensing negotiation. The other thing, if you're in an existing market, And most of my clients, again, in the technology area, have 5, 10-year license agreements that come up for renewal regularly. You know you're going to be going back against your licensees, and you know how well you did last time. You know how well, you can see how well you match your patents to their products, and you can work through the period of your license to improve your licensing position when the renewal comes up. So strategic patenting. This is getting back into the front end. In your invention program, most companies are very good with what I call designing patents, which is looking at what we're doing now, what my R&D guys are working on, and patenting it. That's the sweet spot. That's where we've typically done a lot of our work. The problem is that that's pretty limiting. What we need to be doing more of is taking our inventors sometimes out of that milieu and letting them think about, what am I going to be working on 2 years, 5 years, even 10 years ahead, however far ahead you can look at. Projecting your roadmap further into the future and getting early patents that are more likely to be some of the fundamental concepts that are going to be really important when you get out there. But also, if you talk to licensing guys, a patent that covers your competitor's product is more important. And I'm sorry, I'm talking from a technology standpoint, not from a pharma standpoint. So if you're pharmaceutical, I'm crazy, but you guys are crazy to me too. So a patent that covers your competitor's product is much more valuable than a patent that covers your own product, because that gives you leverage in a cross-licensing negotiation. So sometimes what some advanced companies are doing is sitting their guys down and doing war games and saying, okay, you guys are now working for the competition. Here's what we know about their products. Here's what we know about their roadmap going future. Design the next generation of our competitor's product. How is that going to look different from ours? And are there patentable concepts in there? And then the final square of the box here is just doing wacky things. And if you cover the Apple fanboy network, you'll see the Apple fanboys watch every single application that gets published from Apple, and there's a lot of weird stuff going out there that just tends to confuse and perhaps intimidate the opposition by sending them down blind alleys. So thinking about invention programs, we're hearing about this a lot in North America and Europe. Quality is king these days, a lot because of the Alice decision and 101 issues, but there's a lot more emphasis on producing quality patents. My question here, can value be queen? Because a high-quality patent isn't necessarily a valuable patent. One of the things that's missing, I think, in a lot of my client programs is this feedback from a licensing program to an invention program. The inventors are inventing whatever they're inventing for business purposes. It may not have any linkage into what's going to be valuable to licensing, that it's kind of left up to luck. So again, a patent that covers your competitor's product is more valuable, and patent value is measured by its usefulness in supporting that IP strategy. So let's see if we can design patents a little bit better so that they link to what we're doing in our licensing and our litigation. Quality and value metrics. The USPTO and a number of different places are working on quality metrics. Those tend to be focused on legal issues, which other people are better qualified to talk about. But on value, we don't tend to measure people on value. We tend to measure on easy things that have fairly short time frames, like number of applications filed, number of patents that issue. It's very difficult because of the time lag and because of the difficulty in assessing the value of a patent to get that feedback in any kind of a very rigorous statistical form. So I'm still searching for some good measure for that. But focused invention should be part of a development program. You want to get patents that are going to be useful. And my final point there is a continuation program in the US anyways, where continuations are allowed and can be quite broad, can really help strengthen and enhance those Box 2 and Box 3 type of patents. Remember we talked about white space before. There's actually a couple of companies that are popping up, and full disclosure, I'm not involved with any of these guys. I know some of these guys, but they're actually selling inventions. They're selling invention disclosures. So not only can you create your own inventions through an invention program, not only can you go out and buy finished patents, you can buy inventions. And these are just a couple of examples of companies that are doing that, and some of the different structures that I've run into out there that people are using to try and create more focused strategic patents. Another thing, of course, you can do is we're talking about acquisition. You can also be looking at disposal. And I've used this graph before, and again, this is in technology companies, but in technology companies, 95% of our patents have little or no value. So theoretically, if you can figure out which are the really bad ones, the ones down at the bottom of this curve, and just abandon them, you can save a lot of money. The problem is it's a lot more difficult to figure out which ones are the bad ones and eliminate those. You don't want to have those false negatives, the ones that are really in the 5%, abandon those and have somebody come up to you 2 years later and say, well, why did we abandon this patent? It's the greatest thing since sliced bread. So a patent catalog can help in that way in identifying what are the surplus patents, what are the ones that we can dispose of, not just by abandoning them, but also perhaps through sale, through privateering, using them as an alternate currency in settling lawsuits, different things like that. And just, again, a quick update. There are still, even though the patent market is flooded right now, there's lots and lots of patents for sale. A lot of it's they're not very high value patents, but there are still a lot of big high value portfolios that are changing hands. And this is just a quick summary from the last couple of years. You will notice that there's a lot of now undisclosed amounts. There's a lot of privateering that's going on here where there's very little cash changing hands up front, but there's a back end. So as these companies, the NPEs, start collecting money, the original owner is taking a significant piece. So just in conclusion, if you're looking to maximize patent value and quality, first off, the IP strategies support a business strategy. It's what your company is about, how well you're helping that company achieve its mission and vision. That's really going to be the test of patent value and patent quality. Valuable patents must have quality. A patent that's invalid has no value whatsoever, but quality patents may not have value. So we need to look at it when we're looking at our proud list of patents. What are the ones that we need to take the best care of? It's not just a legal question. It's also a market question. And a patent catalog, in its nascent form, is something that will help you make these calls and make these decisions. So that's my quick talk. We're going to run through all 7 of us. So if you have burning questions, please write them down.